Hey guys, it's D-Jack and I'm back, and Sonic Frontiers comes out in about 3 days. It was a rough journey waiting for this game to come out. There have been a lot of haters, a lot of believers, people saying that the game's gonna be bad, gonna be good. What I'm gonna do is just make this video putting all my cards on the table. I'm gonna just explain everything I think about this game so that when it comes out and it's the way it is, that no one can tell me that I'm just having hindsight bias, or no one can tell me, oh, you're just changing your opinion now that the game's out. All my opinions are going to be right here, and if I'm right about the game, then that's that, and if I'm wrong about this game, then you guys can come back and laugh at me, which I hope is what happens, because my opinions are not super positive, but at the same time they're not super negative. But nonetheless, I'll be spilling all of my beans right now. Now let's start off on a good note. One thing I think will be an absolute banger about this game is its story. In fact, I think it's going to be one of the best stories we've had since Sonic Unleashed, because what they've done for this story is get the writer for the IDW comics. I began reading those comics recently, and they are some of the best Sonic media in the past few years. In fact, I'd even highly recommend them if you've been wanting to see Sonic in a serious story for a while, because the video games, they've been really lacking on that front, and the comics, they really just sort of make up for what the video games have been lacking in terms of story. The comics are actually self-aware, they remember what happened in previous events, they know what all the characters are capable of, so there's nothing like Tails forgetting that he could beat Chaos. It's like the writer actually knows what's going on in the Sonic series, which I think is important. And the main villain of the game, Sage, he looks pretty cool, and on top of that, it looks like the game's going into some darker themes like Sonic getting amnesia and trying to find all of his friends, which is something that the series is capable of. People try to pretend that Sonic's meant to be for kids when really it's supposed to be for general audiences. That's kind of different, and I'm really happy to see that they're realizing that this is what fits a Sonic story, and I have no doubt that this story is gonna be pretty good. Like I said, the best since Sonic Unleashed, which isn't even saying much when you really think about what stories we've had since that game, which is kind of sad, but at least this game will have a banger of a story, I can guarantee it. Alright, now it's time to send everyone on Twitter after me, and that is when we talk about the gameplay, because it is still yet to impress me. I think that the combat is might be a little bit fun, but aside from that, the open world, the open zone aspect of the game, running around and doing and collecting things, I really don't see what's exciting about it. Since the first trailer, all we saw Sonic do was run from point A to point B in order to solve elementary level application. Only 1% of players can beat this ad, download and play today. That's all what Sonic looks like he's doing. It doesn't really look something super engaging, something that I'm gonna be waking up every morning and saying, yes, I need to solve this puzzle as Sonic the Hedgehog. I need to start playing Sonic Frontiers as soon as I get home from school. I really don't see what's super amazing about it. The combat, on the other hand, shows promise, but I don't know how much of a factor it'll be in reeling people in. So the first thing Sonic can do is homing attack, and then repeatedly kick the enemy, and when I saw that, my mind immediately went to Sonic 06. I'm like, oh, they brought back Shadow's combat homing attack thing where he can kick several times after a homing attack, and that move got a lot of flack in the game because people didn't really like it. They didn't think that it was so enthralling to just jump on an enemy and then continue to mash the A button until it died. So what this game does to seemingly make it more interesting is add different elements, different moves that can be incorporated into the combo so that different effects can happen. And my only wonder on that aspect is this gonna really spice up the game to where it's gonna be so enthralling to find what combos you can create, what's the best way to defeat enemies, or is this just gonna be some repetitive aspect of the game where once you find the best combo you're just going to be spamming that? Or are you even going to go out of your way to find the smallest animation so that you're not wasting your time just doing all these special moves? So the combat shows promise, but I'm not terribly convinced about it. So then that leads us to the final aspect of this game, which is the cyberspace levels. They're more akin to what we're used to in the boost level Sonic games, the boost era, which is where you just travel down a linear path and try to reach the end as quick as you can. And there's a lot of things about the level design and the gameplay quirks that are keeping me from being convinced that even this is good. For instance, if you've been on Twitter, you've probably seen that a lot of the levels are rehashes of things we've seen in previous games, which, fine, but that's kind of just hoping that playing Sonic in this game is better than playing Sonic in those games, or at least as good, because if I'm just going to be playing the same levels as a worse Sonic, then what's even the point of playing these levels when I could just be playing a better Sonic game? Like, is the point just to remind me of better Sonic games I could be playing? So going more into what I saw in terms of the leaked gameplay that have been coming out since the game was announced, and I'm trying not to go too much into spoilers, even though I haven't played the game yet, so it's kind of hard to spoil things really, but I am going to talk about some things about the gameplay and the physics. The way Sonic controls looks kind of wank. There was a clip. I'm going to try to find it on YouTube. If not, then I just gonna hope I can describe it as best I can. There's like a clip of Sonic going off of a ramp, and instead of flying off the ramp, he just spiraled downward and just ran down the edge of the ramp instead of flying off the ramp like you might expect, which is kind of weird. And then there was another one where Sonic was running downhill and the player jumped and he went straight upwards, like straight up to the sky. And a lot of people are going to tell me it's like, video game physics, they're not meant to be realistic. And my problem isn't that it's not realistic. You see, there's a video game, if you probably not noticed it, but if you ever programmed a jump in Unity as a junior game developer, you've probably noticed that your jump feels kind of wonky, and that's because when you program a jump, it makes the jump realistic. You go up and you go down at the same time. Like, the time it takes to go up is the same time it takes to go down. And that's because in video games, very rarely are they programmed to be realistic. They're made tweaks to the jump so that they feel good in comparison to the game you're playing. So I don't know what's supposed to feel good about running down an incline and then jumping straight up to the sky. How is this supposed to feel good as a player? So yeah, these cyberspace levels, they're definitely proving to be the weakest part of the game because on top of most of them just being, or at least most of the ones we've seen being rehashes of previous Sonic games that were playing as Sonic who may or may not control as good as the Sonic games we've had before. So hopefully cyberspace is just a small part of the game and it's not really this prominent thing that we're going to have to play over and over and not look forward to. So yeah, putting all of these elements together, the story gonna be pretty good, the combat and exploration not really showing a lot of promise, the cyberspace levels definitely not showing a lot of promise. Not really a lot to be excited about, and I'm gonna be called a Sonic hater, even though I like even some of the worst Sonic games, but that's where it all comes from. I just don't see what's supposed to be so exciting about this game based on what we've been shown. And a lot of people are gonna say, oh, but D-Jack, you're just missing the point. You don't get it. It's not about going fast this time. It's not, you just hate it because it's not Sonic Adventure. But really, it's just like I'm willing to accept a Sonic game if it's a first-person shooter. I just want it to be good. But I really just don't see what the point of this game is. Like, going back to the open world, there's a lot that there's one thing that I would do to it, and it's just make it more Sonic-like, because right now the way it is, it's like they just got this giant big open field, this open island, open zone, and just plopped Sonic in it. They just dropped Sonic in a big open field. Yo, go have fun. Like, what I would have done to the open world is put a bunch of loop-de-loops, put a bunch of hills and inclines, stuff that feels Sonic-y, like the way that it is in Sonic the Roblox Speed Simulator. If you've seen it, they're really small open worlds, but I would have done basically that, but make them just large giant open worlds full of this stuff to play around in. There's other examples like Sonic fan games. Sonic Utopia is one I think there's this other one that someone's making on Twitter. And this is what I would do, because the way it is, it's like the Sonic's not gonna complement the world he's in. It's like imagine making a Tony Hawk open world game. You see, I mean, the games technically are open world already, and when you play the games, there's a bunch of stuff to jump off of. There's a bunch of rails everywhere to grind on, and even though it doesn't feel like a realistic city should have all these elements, they put it there. Now imagine having this giant big open grass world and putting a skateboarder inside. Like, go have fun. This isn't what I think will make a good game. This isn't like what I think will make the game exciting. They have a bunch of rails just plopped all over the sky in Sonic Frontiers, but I don't see this being good game design. I don't see myself being excited to find out what hills I can jump off of, because I don't think there's gonna be a point. Maybe there will be, and this will be one of the things I'm super wrong about, but the way I've seen it from the trailers, the way I've seen just the towers and the hills, I don't see it as being too terribly fun to traverse as Sonic the Hedgehog. So putting everything together, I think that the game is going to be pretty average, which may come off as surprising to a lot of people, but a lot of people are probably thinking I was going to say it's going to be the worst Sonic game in years. It's going to be as bad as Sonic 06, but at least Sonic 06 had a vision. This game doesn't. So yeah, I think that the combat and exploration are just going to be fun enough so that it's fun to play around with for about 10 hours or however long the game is, hopefully just around there. And then after that, it's just done. And this could be pretty sad, considering that this is supposed to be one of the biggest Sonic games to come out in years. I mean, after Sonic has had 2 movies and a bunch of merch and collaborations sporting him, he's got a lot of hype built up for him right now. So if the game comes out and it's just a mid-level average game, I really consider average above mid. I think mid is like mediocre. Average is just like, it's fun enough to like just play around with. So if the game comes out with all this hype and it's just average, it's just going to be kind of just a small letdown, but I guess not too big of a letdown. So in conclusion, the reason I'm making this video is just to show that you really can tell a lot from the trailers. A lot of people are just going to say I'm hating on the game, I'm just destroying the hype, even though there's a lot of logic and reasons to my concern. I mean, the Sonic franchise has kind of been in mediocrity lately, and I've been hoping to see this breakthrough, this new Sonic game that'll revive the franchise, but based on the trailers, this Sonic Frontiers doesn't look like it's it. And I can't stress enough that I hope I'm wrong about everything. I hope you guys are coming back to this video in 3 days, laughing at my face, telling me that I was just a hater the entire time, that I'm wrong about everything. But if I'm right about everything, I just think it's important to learn from the experience, because right now Sega's advertising Sonic Adventure 3, they're teasing having Shadow more often, but it might just be to be building up hype. Who knows? And if that's the case, we need to hold Sega accountable, Sonic Team accountable, whoever's making the games. We can't just keep falling for this, because then we're never gonna get the amazing quality games that we're hoping for, because Sega just knows that the fans are just gonna buy whatever's the most hype. But that's gonna do it for this video. If you are buying Sonic Frontiers, I hope you enjoy it. If you aren't gonna buy it, then that's smart, and you should probably just wait till a price drop if you are really curious about it. But until then, this was D-Jack, and I'll be back sometime after November 8th. Have a good one, guys.